following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
First down. Handoff. Elliott plowing to the goal line. Buried. Sacked by Lawrence. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
Here are Mickey Spagnola, Brian Broaddus, Rob Phillips, and Bill Jones.
A good Thursday morning to you, and this is Talkin Cowboys as we are getting closer and closer to that home opener on Sunday night against the New York Football Giants. And we got a big show lined up for you for the next hour as we'll be joined by John Schmelk of Giants.com and go behind enemy lines and get the lowdown on what these Giants feature this year. A battle of two 0-1 teams. Something's got to give on Sunday night, right, gentlemen?
Absolutely, because you don't want to be 0-2.
That's exactly right. What's the percentage if you finish 0 or if you start the season 0-2 of making the playoffs?
Well, let me tell you, I got that.
Spags, go.
Saw it in the New York Daily News. Only 28 of 231 teams that have started 0-2 have made the playoffs.
28 of 231?
Yes.
You have the percentage on that?
I didn't do the math.
I got it. Wait, I want to do it.
Missouri math.
28 divided by 231. What do you got?
12%.
12.1%.
So this is a must-win game, huh? Basically,
Both teams. It's
as
on
Brian,
the line.
As Brian would say, they're all must-win, especially this one.
You guys are going to come around on my thinking on that. By the way.
Did I not say that on the happy hour show?
After I put you in a headlock.
You weren't on the air. What are you talking
I
about?
kind of off the air. I put you in a headlock.
But you know why?
Yeah.
But you know why it's a must-win? Because if you start 0-2, it's pretty good signal that you're not very good. Right? It's not that you can't recover from it. You're just not good enough.
New coaches were 0-7. That means their teams weren't very good.
Yeah. That's why they new coaches, because the team they inherited was bad enough to get the other guy fired.
Yeah. There you go.
It's fair.
That's
a fair point.
It's a division game too. You got to think about that. Division game. You lose a division game at home, that's like losing two. So,
especially against the team that may be considered number 4 out of 4 on paper before the season
I had
starts.
him as 3, and I had him as a possible flip 2 with Dallas.
Yeah, I had a week ago.
Remember we did this whole thing. We went through all the different scenarios, and we said,
let me go back in my notes.
I know we had
down
Washington as last.
That's right. We had Washington as last. We had Giants 3.
I had Giants, Dallas flip. I think I said that, flip 2-3 on Dallas and the Giants here. Yeah, you can't go 0-2 to start this thing. You really can't. I think you had so many questions after what the 0-1 got you. You better figure some things out.
And for some of us who picked the Cowboys to win the division, that would be the two gentlemen on this side.
This side of the table.
And, it becomes much more of a must-win situation for us.
12% chance you're.
You want me to go in there and explain it to them?
Maybe you should give the pregame speech, Mick.
Yeah.
While the other side of the table, Brian and Rob pick Philly, by the way, just to review our picks from last week.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, what's on your mind, Brian Broaddus, as we approach another practice day here at the Star, getting set for this one?
You know what? I think that you have to figure out, you go back, you look at the tape, you figured out what you were good at. There were some things they were good at. You have to look at the things that you were poor at. You have to say, okay, what are the matchups that we can look at with the Giants? Is there things we can take advantage of? I don't think the Giants defensively without Olivier Vernon, and it doesn't look like he's going to play. And I guarantee
high ankle sprain.
Yeah, we asked John. John's going to say he's probably not going to play. But I will say, though, that the Giants do have a better secondary than Carolina. But you're going to have to figure out a ways. If the Cowboy receivers are able to get open against Carolina, this will be a very good test for them to see if they can get open against a secondary. I think it's pretty. But I don't think the Giants had the pass rush that Carolina does. I don't think they had that, especially without Olivier Vernon. That's in my mind right now. How do you take advantage of some of the things you can do well in this game? Focus on those, get those plays that you can hang your hat on, and then try and stay ahead of the chains. That's going to be really the most important thing because this offense can't function when it's behind the chains.
They need to run the ball better and more consistently. I mean, the running game didn't get going until, the second half, midway through the third quarter?
It's going to be tough with Landon Collins sitting down there in the box.
That's fine. Yeah. That's fine. But you got to figure out a way to get Zeke going and get him going early and do a better job blocking. And if they want to stuff the line of scrimmage, then you better be able to protect the quarterback so you can take advantage of some one-on-one situations.
I think defensively, if you look at the matchups for Dallas, they have an opportunity to do what they did a little bit of or quite a bit of, and that's get pressure from Carolina. They can do that again this week. The Giants have weapons offensively, but they still, even remaking their line, now they played a really good defense last week, maybe the best in the league, but
very fast defense.
Yeah, but they struggled to protect Eli, and I know he gets the ball out quick, but you have weapons out there, Odell, Saquon, but if you can't protect the quarterback, that's going to cost you over 60 minutes, and I think that's an opportunity. Now, there's a flip side of that. They've got to tackle a hell of a lot better than they did last week.
Yeah.
Because Barkley showed, even though he really made one big play in the game, that kept New York in the game last week.
I would hope that Sean Lee comes out today and says, if we can stop Barkley, we can beat the Giants. Because it really, on the flip side, you look at Manning, and he's won a couple of Super Bowls and all that, but you blitz him, you get his eye level down, you put pressure on him, he will throw the ball up. He will miss throws because of pressure. But you've got to get to him. You can't sit there. You got to take advantage of Flowers, and even Nate Solder wasn't very good. And Rob's right. Jacksonville's got a good, speedy defense, but the Cowboys are capable of putting pressure on this Giant offensive line, which will affect the way the quarterback plays.
The line is almost exactly totally different than it was last year. Flowers is kind of the main holdover, right tackle.
So he's the worst one.
He gave up 7 pressures. I had 7 pressures against him last week and a sack. So.
Tried to trip the first play of the game. Lucky they didn't get a safety. They're in their own end zone. And
they marked it at the half-yard line.
He trips the guy. I mean, he's totally out of body position, balances, all that's terrible. And he tries to trip the guy, and it's an easy call.
7 pressures?
Yes. According to your favorite website.
I think that's being kind.
Yeah.
Based on your all-22 assessment?
Yes.
They got problems.
I was just watching the game. I didn't need all 22. All I need is the box. He was terrible.
They got problems.
Solder was a problem. Remember, they're starting a rookie, too, at guard.
Yeah.
Will Hernandez.
And he's a good one, but
he gave up a sack.
Yeah.
So
quickness gets him. The Cowboys with that under tackle, the ability to play with some quickness inside, that'll be a problem for those guys.
Because there's a reason why, Barkley had 17 carries for
37 yards,
and then 1 for 68. Yeah. And there was also a reason why Odell Beckham Jr. caught 11 passes, but he averaged 10 yards a catch. They didn't have time to get him down the field.
I'll tell you what,
they started doing all the underneath stuff.
Yeah, they missed him one time though, and that's because Manning got pressure. But
that's an end-zone throw, right?
it was like, oh geez, and that's what you got to fear. I think that with one of the matchups I wrote about today was a Woozier, and you can even throw Byron Jones in this. I think you're going to have to play with Odell Beckham, play physical on the line with him. He looks like he's okay as far as the movement, the quickness, and all that stuff, but you have to beat him up at the line of scrimmage. You cannot allow him to get in routes. Because if you beat him up, it affects the way that Manning throws the ball, because Manning doesn't have enough time to sit there and wait for him to separate. He's got to throw the ball, and he did that. One time they brought safety blitz, what they call zero coverage with no safety in the middle of the field. They brought a blitz down there, and Beckham just ran an arrow route. And Manning didn't have enough time, and he tried. He just tried to throw it in his direction. He was a good 12 yards off. So you can affect the way that you can affect the quarterback, which affects the receiver, but you got to affect the receiver by being physical with him. Because if you give him free access and routes, he will kill you.
I got a new stat your buddies over there at that whatever focus thing need to come up with.
You won't ever even say their name.
He doesn't know it.
I don't
Pro
blame
Football Focus.
I don't blame him either.
One of their field goal drives, there was 2 PIs on Odell Beckham Jr.
Yes.
For 40 yards. They only drove like 62. 40 of the yards were 2, one on Barry Church and one on Ramsey. Yeah. So I think they need to put on the wide receiver stat thing, it's like PI. If I earned that many yards on a pass interference, then I should get credit for that. Yeah. Because on both of them, it was going to be a big play. Especially, I don't know how they isolated him on Barry Church, which is totally unfair. But he had to grab on, otherwise
you
it's going to be a touchdown.
You gamble you're going to get somebody home before the ball gets off. That's your gamble. That's that one. Okay, we're gonna sell out on this one particular play, and it's like when Rod Marinelli brings linebackers or safeties or slot blitz, and he drops, Crawford in coverage, and Crawford's trying to run with a running back or something. That's just never a good look.
About what you're talking about with anyone, whether it's us or an outside company or whatever that are grading coaches' film. When you don't know what the assignment is for the players, it's very difficult to put a grade on what that player.
There used to be a time where they used to do it off TV copy.
Oh, wow.
So
how in the world do they do that?
Well, and they made a lot of money doing it. And I questioned the guy one time. I did an interview with him, and I'm like, how do you evaluate players off TV copy? And it goes to the point of what Mickey's saying. If you're doing offensive and defensive linemen, I'm okay with you doing that all day, because I think you can kind of get something out of that.
You get a feel for it.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, I go back and I do, like, say, the Scout's Eye or Scout's Notebook after a game. I'm watching the TV game, so I'm trying to kind of pick some things that it caught my eye.
At least you can see on
TV. But you don't try and get into any X's and O's things, because I have the opportunity to come back. I come back and watch the All 22. You at least have a little bit better idea. But you're right. When you don't know the assignment, that's where you have to go with it.
I got a question along those lines for you after this, but right now let's check in with someone who has been covering the New York Giants about as long as Mickey has been covering the Cowboys.
Very good. John, don't let him do that to you.
John Schmelk, Giants.com. Welcome to Talkin Cowboys.
What's going on, guys? And it's funny, based off what you guys were just saying, I heard the tail end of your conversation. To Brian's point, I was trying to figure out on a play with the Giants and Jaguars last week on the incomplete pass to Odell Beckham in the end zone, who messed up the blitz pickup. And I had 3 different ideas of who it could have been.
Sure.
Until I talked to the head coach. It was neither one of the 3 guys that I thought messed up that actually messed up. So you're right. Until you talk to the coaches, you really don't know what's going on with a lot of this stuff.
All right, so give us an overview first of this Giants team coming into AT&T Stadium on Sunday.
Well, disappointing first-week loss, but it was against a very good team. And I think the Giants and Cowboys, and I was just talking to one of my colleagues over here, in very similar situations. Did the first-week loss happen because there were real serious long-term problems for the Giants on the offensive line? Or is it just the fact that they were playing a really, really good defensive front in the Jaguars? And it's week 1. Maybe they just happen to have a particular bad week against a good team. So if there's one big topic of conversation in New York this week, it's the Giants' offensive line. I think they were generally happy with the way the defense played. Saquon Barkley had the big run. So that's really where the focus is right now.
Sounds familiar, John, because that's kind of what we've been looking at is the offensive line here's an ability to protect Dak and kind of keep him clean and not get behind the chains.
Funny you say that, Mickey, because I read John's recap of the game, the Giants game, and I thought that you could just change Giants to Cowboys, and it felt like the same thing. The same with the Cowboys.
So from an injury standpoint, John, Olivier Verdon looks like he hasn't been practiced. Does he have hope to get back, you think?
Yeah, look, he was actually outside with the team yesterday on the side with the trainers, which is something he was not able to do next week. So he has kind of taken that next mini step. But look, this is a high ankle sprain, and this is a guy who last year tried to play on an injury like that, and he was basically a shell of himself the whole year. So my guess is that they're probably going to try to be a little bit more cautious, get him back at 100%. So when he does get back, he can be that dynamic pass rusher that he has the ability to be. I'm sure Vernon will try to convince them to let him play. But if we don't see him practice at least on a limited basis, either today or tomorrow, I think the chances are slim.
And that kind of hurts needless to say, right, their overall pass rush without him out there.
Oh, it kills them. He is by far their most dynamic pass rusher. Connor Barwin's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. He's a technique guy. He's got a little inside spin move that's strong. Lorenzo Carter is a great athlete, but he really hasn't figured out how to rush the passer on the NFL level quite yet. So, yeah, without Vernon, they don't have that guy that you have to worry about winning one-on-one.
Hey, John, you mentioned the offensive line, and it's a really largely remade group from last season. What's the general feeling about it after game 1? And is the feeling that Saquon can kind of cover up some of those issues or potential issues that they have up front?
It's concerned. And you're right. It's a completely different group from last year. Now, one player is in the same position they were playing in last year, and 4 players are completely new. John Jalapeno, I think, played in a couple games in the last year, but he's pretty much a new player as well. And Eric Flowers had the most issues at right tackle. He got beat inside a few times, but at the same time, there were issues all along the line. Will Hernandez, their second-round pick, got beat a couple times. Nate Solder, their big free agent pickup, got beat a couple times. Patrick Omame, their right guard, and Jalapeno, their center, had their issues too. So overall, it was just a poor game for them. If they would have protected a little bit more, Eli Manning would have had the opportunity to make a few more plays down the field, and the Giants probably would have won the football game. As for Barkley, his numbers got skewed a lot by that one big run for 68 yards. Other than that, I think he only averaged around 2.2 yards per carry. And I was actually listening to one of your guys' shows the other day, and Brian made the comparison that Barkley kind of runs like Barry Sanders, and I think that's absolutely correct. And that's kind of the comparison I made coming out of the draft, where he'll go 1 yard, -2, -3, 1, and then boom, 50, or boom, 20. So right now he's a boomer bust guy. He doesn't like lowering his pads to get that dirty 2-3 yard run off the middle. He's going to try to bounce and make a big play, and I think that's right now what he is.
Boy, John, I tell you, I feel good when you're saying I'm actually right about a guy. That always makes me feel a lot.
Be careful with that, John.
No,
please.
John, you're the best when you do that. But, John, hey, I want to ask you, too, about the comments that Landon Collins makes. And is this more of a challenge? Was Landon Collins challenging really through the media his teammates? Or is this something that you're kind of, as you walk through the locker room there, that the Giants, is this something the coaching staff is, or other players repeating what Landon Collins is saying about if you stop Ezekiel Elliott, you have a better chance of winning the game?
I mean, look, I don't think it's any surprise that the scouting report on the Dallas Cowboys is if you stop Ezekiel Elliott, you turn him into a passing team, you got a good chance of winning.
Right.
I don't think Landon Collins was trying to make any headlines, but do I think that's what the coaching staff is telling the players? Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I went back, and I think Dak Prescott has thrown for 250 yards once in his last 12 starts or 13 starts, something like that.
Sure.
So I think that's the game plan. You stop the run. You try to put Dallas in third and long where, that's not where they're at their best, and you go from there. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's what the defensive game plan is, no doubt about it.
Well, John, how is the team? This team has a great history of playing 3-4 defense, 3-4 front. Mm-hmm. How are they adapting now? For so many years playing the 4-3, now they're back in that 3-4 front. The type of personnel, do they feel better about the guys that they got to play the 3-4 defense? It all starts really with Harrison inside, and then we talked about Collins. But overall, how do they feel like the scheme has looked so far?
It's funny. That was a huge storyline in the offseason, and I had a bunch of conversations with defensive coordinator James Betcher about it. And this is not your traditional 1980s two-gapping 3-4 scheme, Brian.
Gotcha. Yeah.
He likes the one gap out of the 3-4, which is very uncommon. He wants his guys to use their quickness and athleticism to get up the field and penetrate. They're not just trying to occupy blockers. So for that reason, I think the transition's been pretty smooth. Their interior defensive linemen are very, very good. They have three guys that are starting in their 3-4 base defense that played the one technique in college from time to time. Dalvin Tomlinson at Alabama.
Right.
They drafted B.J. Hill this year. He's more of a 3, but he did play the one in college. He stops the run well.
Yep.
And then I think, is the best run-stopping defensive lineman in the league in Snacks Harrison. So you do not want to try to run up the middle against these guys. It's not going to work. Where they struggled in week 1 was on the edge when Leonard Fournette was healthy in the first half. Once you went out of the game, the Jaguars had trouble moving the ball with the run game.
Right.
But if you're going to have success, I think you better attack the edge.
John, you just stole my next question, because I noticed that when Fournette was in there, they were able to get to the edge in that running game. Jacksonville was, but when he went out, they shut down Yeldon, because it seemed like they just wanted Yeldon going up the middle, which that seems counterproductive, especially how big and strong those front three guys are right up the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you want to make these guys move, and I think the other thing you look at, too, if you're attacking the Giants' defense is their strength against the pass are their two outside corners, Janoris Jenkins and Eli Apple. They are legitimately good cover corners, and James Betcher is going to run a lot of cover 1. He's going to run a lot of single high cover 3, and those guys are going to be very, very aggressive on the perimeter. They're going to try to jump routes. They're going to be all over those curls, those comebacks and things like that. You're going to have to challenge them and beat them over the top to loosen them up a little bit to start throwing that short stuff.
Was that sort of a renaissance performance by Apple? I don't know that we thought, I don't know how engaged he was, but he sure looked awfully good in that game.
Yeah, and I think that was big. Eli Apple, he was a big source of concern last season, but when Pat Shurmur got here, he kind of gave everybody a bit of a fresh start, and Eli Apple was number 1 on that list. Eric Flowers was probably number 2. Flowers did not take advantage of that in week 1, but it looks like Eli Apple to me did. He played a very good game. He was targeted a few times, really didn't give the opposing receiver any room to breathe. And he's a guy that I want to see react when he gets beat. It's easy to be good when you're stopping guys, but mentally for him, if he has a bad game and people start questioning him again, I want to see how he reacts to that. And I think that'll be a big key for him this year.
John, a final question before we let you run.
Yeah.
We know you got a thing to do for your team, but Odell Beckham, everything about him positive coming out. I mean, the yards per catch, they missed him a couple different times from what I saw on tape, but overall, the health, everything about it, attitude, good going forward here.
He was a different guy this offseason, and I've been critical of him in the past. I think he's been very immature. He's made a lot of, just decisions an 18-year-old kid or a 19-year-old kid would make. But he did everything right this offseason. I mean, he really did. If he didn't show up for, voluntary workouts and mini camp and training camp, and remember, he didn't show up for voluntary stuff the 2 years prior to this.
Sure.
But this year, knowing he wanted the extension, he decided to take the tact of, I'm going to show the Giants I want to be a serious football player, and this is the most important thing to me, and I'm going to act like a professional. And the Giants rewarded him by giving him a contract. And I think ideally when you have teams and a player, that's how you want it to go. And I see that ankle injury that kind of took football away from him last year.
Sure.
I think really kind of rang a bell for him a little bit. And he has been a pleasure to deal with all offseason. And I think that the arrow's really pointing up. He has a good bond with Pat Shurmur. And I think, it went better than even I could have imagined when this team left here on the first day of January last year. And it's been very, very good. And I got about 3 more minutes if you guys want to use it, by the way. It's up to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mickey stole my question about Apple, John. I was going to ask you, we're debating must-win this week, and we looked up the percentages when you start 0-2. Is that a topic of conversation up there in New York this week?
Absolutely. Landon Collins was actually asked this yesterday, and he said, look, 0-2 is a big hole, and neither one of these teams want to be in it. So, it's Giants-Cowboys. Everyone's going to be pumped up at sight that your guys' home opener. Everyone's going to be into the game. But 10% chance of making the playoffs, I think, right, when you start 0-2, something like that. So
12% is what we got.
It's a very important game.
Hey, John, I'm going to tell you, an LSU man normally doesn't agree with an Alabama man, but that's a smart Alabama man you have in that locker room. Because I preach that all the time about must wins, and these guys look at me like I'm an idiot here.
That's not true, but whatever.
It sounds good, John.
Mickey, you have a parting question?
I'm good with him. We'll let him run. And, John, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Sounds good, Mick. I appreciate it, guys. Always good to join you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
John. Appreciate you.
John Schmelk, Giants.com. Of course, Eli Manning has his autograph on the walls there in the Giants locker room. Maybe John Schmelk.
Is John not the best?
He is.
He's really honest, which is sometimes you talk to people and they're like I know I did radio one time in Denver. This was last year, and those guys were just
Those are your favorite guys.
Yeah, me in Denver. John's my favorite guy at the Combine, by the way.
Yeah.
Because we always need something from the Giants. It's like, hey, John, you got any of that gorilla tape?
He got
sure. He's got
this
7
cord
rolls.
we left behind.
Yeah,
banners falling down.
Our banners falling down, and John's always like, yeah, here you go. Here's a zip tie. I'm like the Giants. I mean, you were supposed to all be battling, but they've got some good people that do the same things that we do.
All right, we continue on Talking Cowboys in just a moment.
It can be hard to find the right resource for learning about important financial matters. You search how to build savings, you end up reading about the one weird ingredient from supermarkets that can make you taller. That's why Bank of America built BetterMoneyHabits.com, a safe little corner of the internet for answering your financial questions. Full of simple videos and tips, Better Money Habits can show you how to make the most of your money without resorting to random searches that always seem to lead to unbelievable photos of childhood stars grown up. To learn more, visit bettermoneyhabits.com.
I definitely have an Instagram foodie thing, but the low-light camera on my new Samsung Galaxy S9 from AT&T is getting me a whole new world of likes and shares. Baskets of bread by candlelight, colorful fruit plates in full sun. Even a dimly lit Cobb salad was recently hailed as a masterpiece.
Come in now and ask how to get half off the new Samsung Galaxy S9 from AT&T. AT&T, more for your thing. That's our thing. Limited time only. See store for details or att.com/Samsung50. The dual aperture supports f1.5 mode and f2.4 mode. Dual aperture is installed on the rear camera.
Oh, I am craving a Dr. Pepper.
I got some soda.
I asked not for soda. I asked for ice-cold, craveable Dr. Pepper. Its flavor is more one-of-a-kind than a four-toed sloth with a thirst for speed. So stop settling for soda and start demanding Dr. Pepper.
I love sloths.
When you crave a Dr. Pepper, nothing else will do. Grab an ice-cold 20-ounce Dr. Pepper today. Dr. Pepper, the one you crave.
To work this big land, you need equipment with values rooted as deep in Texas soil as you are. Like John Deere compact tractors with a 6-year powertrain warranty and big features that help you work less so you have more time to do what you love. John Deere was first in the Texas fields, and we're proud to be on the field as the official ag and turf equipment of the Dallas Cowboys. Find Texas-sized deals at myjohndeeredealer.com/football. Terms, conditions, exclusions, and warranty limitations apply. See dealer for details.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Always ride with our boys, but when it comes to your underwear, you definitely don't want them riding up, Mick.
No.
That's why we always wear Tommy John, the revolutionary brand of underwear with stay-put waistbands that keep everything in place. Tommy John, no adjustment needed. Shop exclusive Cowboys underwear at TommyJohn.com/Cowboys for 20% off your first order.
When you have a big waistband, you need that Tommy John.
That's right. Or if you're laying in a hospital bed for a week.
Oh, okay.
Need some Tommy Johns.
Need some Tommy John. With your gown? Your Tommy John in your gown?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, try to purge that mental picture. And I'll tell you about the Star District here in Frisco.
What's going on?
The Star District offers over 30 restaurants and retail spaces at the Dallas Cowboys themed campus. Perfect place to shop, dine, bring the whole family. For more info on all that the Star has to offer, visit the Star in Frisco.
I heard your promo too for the Ohio State TCU game on the radio.
I heard
by the
that
way,
too.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, I didn't
you
realize
sound like
that.
Professional radio voice man. There.
Well, I did not realize that I emphasized the on the Ohio State University Buckeyes.
They loved it.
They love that when you do that.
You see, they get Bill to do that. They didn't ask us to do this.
No, they
want it professional.
I'm not going to talk about TCU or Ohio State in any glowing terms.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it was a script. And so
an Oklahoma man, right?
I just followed the script. Yeah. Guess who I saw this morning? I told Rob before the show. I saw one Jason Witten this morning. Yep.
Out here?
No, he was at Central Market, actually.
You were shopping that early in the morning?
Well, actually...
Wife out of town still?
No.
What are you getting some
meals,
pre-made meals?
Stofers?
Yeah. All right. If you must know, every Thursday morning, I'm involved in a group of Bible study at Central Market in South Lake. And actually, Pat Summerall was part of our group way back. We started it like in 2005.
Wow.
And you did it at the grocery store?
In the cafe. There's a cafe there.
At Valley Ranch, though.
No, that was a different one.
Oh, it's a different group? Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, Pat was involved in that one. But anyway... So one of the guys came back and told me that Witten was in the store. And so I went and found him, and he talked my ear off about Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
So I got no Bible study in this morning. It was the gospel according to Jason.
You got Monday Night Football study.
But I brought him back there and introduced him to the guys.
Were you like looking at the Fig Newtons trying to get away? Like, the apple ones, the strawberry ones?
But one of the interesting things that Jason said was, he did the Raiders game Monday night. And John Gruden apparently after the game went and watched the TV copy of the game and then called him and complimented on some stuff, but also gave him some tips on some certain stuff, And of course he coached Booger McFarland. And so that dynamic, and kind of gave him some tips on how to handle the 3-man booth when the third guy's on the sideline and everything. It was just interesting hearing Witten talk about it. He is he's so excited about what he's doing.
He's enjoying himself.
New challenge for him. He's always been a guy that's challenged himself to do things. So good.
Then
for
he's
him.
asking me about this team. And he had some thoughts on this team that were interesting as far as, I don't know how much I should share because it's
off the record.
Some of it could be off the record. But one thing he did say, he likes the thought now that he doesn't have to be on the field all the time, go ahead and use some of that 10 personnel.
Yeah. I think that's
a little bit different when he's here. And he's playing 96%.
Now, if he was here, he would not be in favor of that 10 personnel.
Yeah, I'm not coming off the field.
No, I think you're going to see them do more of that. I think that the plan is going to be, and I brought up the question yesterday about trying to, are you going to make Dak a pocket passer, or are you going to play to his strengths and let him be more freewheeling in the way he plays? And 11 personnel gives you a good opportunity. If you can get some of those guys going, you get Beasley going. We saw what Austin could do. I know it was one play, but the one play went for 9 yards. If you throw the ball to a guy and he could get 9 yards, 10 yards, maybe bust it loose, I'm all for getting him more involved. I'm all for also more involved getting Michael Gallup more involved. Man, he came across the middle that one time. He was open. He was able to find space, get him the ball, let him run. I'm totally okay with that. If Dak Prescott has to run on the read option stuff in order to keep that defensive end wide so Ezekiel Elliott can hit that gap, by all means. I mean, there's quarterbacks in this league you protect. You try and protect Rodgers and Brady and Breeze, but there's other guys you just say, go play football. Just go play football. And I think Dak Prescott is that guy. I do. And that's my attitude about it is, if you're going to, and I know it's one game and I'm not supposed to knee-jerk, and I'm not knee-jerk. I just think you have to go back to what he was able to do in 2016. They ran the ball effectively, but they played loose with him. They played loose in a way and allowed him to do some things in order for him to be creative with the ball in his hands. I don't believe Dak Prescott, and I'm sure people will come at me for this, I just don't see a pocket passing quarterback. I see a guy that's much better playing on the move and doing things that he is capable of doing.
He threw 29 passes in that game. I wonder, and your guys over there, the stats people, how many times he actually threw the ball from the pocket.
Yeah.
Because he was on the run.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was sitting there, right?
Well, but they said
a little bit in the second half.
Now this group
actually got better in the second half.
No, but I'm saying the protection part of it.
If you believe next gen stats, which is another thing that we're having to deal with, and and there's people out there that trust those numbers and stuff. They said he was he had the fifth most time. Okay, I'm going to say this wrong. He was fifth of the quarterbacks that played as far as time in the pocket, 3.5 seconds per throw in the pocket.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah. I mean,
3.5 is a long time.
That's it forever.
Yeah. But that's what they said. He was the fifth best protected quarterback when he was in the pocket.
I feel like the average time in the NFL for a quarterback is like 2.5.
No, that's the number they had.
Okay.
And I just, whether you believe it or not, but I'm just trying to say, I understand what this might take to get things going for him. You might have to running the ball, staying ahead of the chains. I get that, but you're going to probably have to do some things that he did in 2000 at Mississippi State, 2016. Those things they tried to make him a pocket passer last year. They really have. They tried to make him a pocket passer, and maybe that's not his cup of tea.
First 8 games, 16 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions.
Last season?
Yes.
Moving around?
Well, I don't know if he moved around in the first 8 games or not, or if he was in the pocket. All I know is when they ran the football and they protected him, he was pretty darn good.
They've got to figure out something when they can't run the football. That's the problem.
And there are 2 new pieces up front.
Holding calls and motion calls and all
blocking
that.
The back.
Blocking the back. All those things hurt him.
How much read option are you thinking then?
You know what? I'm going to freewheel this thing. I am. Jerry Jones talked about it the other day. He compared him, and I understand the comparison. If you talk about Cam Newton and you talk about Goff, what he's trying to say is we've got the ability to run the football like Cam Newton did the other day for 60 yards in the first half. But we've also got the ability to throw the ball like Jared Goff did the other night in that Monday night game. I think they're a little bit closer to what Cam Newton is than what Jared Goff is myself. Maybe that's something. Maybe he's given us a little bit of a hint that, okay, we need to figure out more things for him to do where it allows him to get in the flow of the game other than playing from the pocket.
I'm on board with that. I think you just do have to be mindful of the toll that can take depending on how much you use it.
Yeah, but is this I think they protected him because they think he's a franchise quarterback.
Well, as Mickey said yesterday too, what's your alternative if he goes down?
Yeah. That's the problem.
I mean, I'm just saying there's a flip side to it. We saw RG3, who is a much slighter built player, do that for a full season, and he got hurt, and he was never the same. Now Dak's built like a linebacker, so I feel better about him running read option. But I'm
not asking him to run 10, 12 times.
Well, that's what I was asking you. How many times do you want to do
it? The
other
thing with Griffin is he had breakaway speed where he could feel like he could get to that corner. Dak is smart in that he'll go ahead and
get down.
Slide. Yeah.
I think they're going to have to do something different, though. I do. I mean, and to me, it's because they've got to find a way to get the running game going, and they've got to find a way to get him going throwing the football.
And get him in a comfort level. Because I think they got behind the chains, he misses some throws, and I think he starts pressing. And we saw that last season too. And it may lead to him not seeing things as well as he normally would when things are rolling a little bit easy.
What about coming out tempo? And
did a nice job with that the other day.
If you get him into a rhythm,
you get 11. You get 11 personnel on the field, and you're comfortable with everybody out there. Just keep going. Keep going. Let him manage the game that way. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. I just think they have to let him play more, and I think that plays to his strength. I really do, and that's I watch him in the pocket stuff and all that, and I understand what Mickey's saying. 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I get it, but I think that you've got to figure out a way to play to his strengths, and I don't know necessarily.
What's their record when he gets sacked 6 or more times?
Yeah. Well,
that all sounds good, but if you can't protect him...
That's the second most he's ever been sacked besides...
8.
Yeah, that game.
It didn't turn out well, did it?
What's your suggestion?
No, my suggestion is you got to do a better job of protecting him.
I'm not for people just throwing their hands in the air and saying you don't have...
I didn't say that, but you got to protect him.
But you've got to come up with... Okay, is protection the only thing then?
Well, it would be a start.
Are all quarterbacks protected in this league? All of them.
How many quarterbacks got sacked 6 times last week?
Are all quarterbacks protected in this league?
I just asked you that. How many quarterbacks got sacked 6 times and got hit 4 more times? That means 10. And how many times did he have to run out of the pocket to save from a sack?
The thing about it is, I'm asking you this question. Not all quarterbacks are protected. He has got to make some plays.
I understand that, and he's got to step up and do that.
He didn't make plays.
So is that why he got sacked 6 times?
He went into a couple of sacks. Let's be real honest. And they also had a sack where they didn't bump all the way outside. The head coach told you that in the walk-off if you listen. That's what he did.
I do listen. But I do watch also.
He told you, though, that the protection problems were a little bit on the quarterback, too. You're putting it all on the offensive line.
It was not very good.
Okay, give me a solution to how to make him a better quarterback then, other than
protecting him? Well, that would be a start, right?
How's he going to throw the ball better?
What? 6 sacks a game times 16. Go do the math.
How does you make him throw the ball better?
6 times 16
How do you make him throw the ball better?
90-some sacks a season.
They're not going to give up 6 sacks every game. How do you make him throw the ball better? Don't give me the well bit.
What do you mean well? You got to protect him.
There's a little bit of both there. I mean, he's got to, when there is protection, he's got to step up and make throws too. I mean, he missed throws in the game. There's a little bit of both there.
So why did all these other quarterbacks struggle last week?
I didn't watch all the other quarterbacks.
I mean, good ones.
Huh?
Good ones.
We're responsible for this game.
I understand.
This team.
But if you can't protect your quarterback, go ask Eli Manning. Can you protect Eli Manning? No, they couldn't protect him, so they rolled him out. All right, let's just let him roll out every time.
He just gets sacked.
No.
Do you think my idea of no huddle and
I like that.
I like the idea.
Maybe that's a way of...
I do. That's a better answer to me than anything that we're talking about right now. Anything to get him in the flow of a game.
Yeah, I want to get him into a rhythm.
Get him in a rhythm? Sure. I'm all for that.
And if that keeps him out of 3rd and 26, I'm for it too.
Yeah, and because one of the things that bothered me about the game, when they get the ball back with 1:51 left, and then they can't even get a first down. They complete a pass, basically.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the thing, they get the holding penalty on
Right.
Lyle Collins that kicks them back into thing.
And so what I'm wondering, and we haven't seen enough evidence in a 2-minute drill, okay, in a game situation in the preseason, because
Right.
they didn't play after the game 2, to see what they really got as far as just a little short passing game to get going, even in a 2-minute drill, much less, in a...
Wonder if they trust him. Wonder if they trust him to play in a 2-minute game. Is that
well,
why?
They better, because he's their guy.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, do you worry?
Do
and I'm just throwing it out there because I'm not the Bob Seger song. I'm not working on mysteries without any clues.
Like, for instance,
we got clues.
For instance, in that 2-minute drill, and I haven't gone back close enough, and I need to go back and really look at what routes they were running and so forth. But
yeah.
For instance, you see an Aaron Rodgers against the Cowboys last year.
Right.
He had 1 timeout left. He had 1:15 left, whatever. And he did not use the sidelines going down the field. He used the middle of the field.
He's got the timeout in his pocket.
And the Cowboys had a timeout in their pocket.
Right.
Okay, so let's use the middle of the field, okay?
Right.
And you're taking what the defense is giving you. There's going to be something available there, and matriculate your way down the field.
Right.
And that didn't happen. And so I'm sitting there going, okay, so where is this team as far as their 2-minute offense? And maybe that is a way to get him in a rhythm and get him going.
Yeah, I've always thought he's best when he's on the move in some fashion, and a lot more so design stuff than scrambling for his life and throwing off his back foot. Now, maybe some of that is read option, and some of that is that boots and the waggles and that kind of stuff. Carolina got to give Carolina some credit. For shutting some of that stuff down.
Yeah.
But I think getting him on the move a little bit more can help him.
Don't you think teams last year shut down those boots and waggles? They started anticipating what was going to happen.
Beasley. They killed Beasley. That's what happened to that team.
They took him away.
But, they've got to figure out other ways to do this. I'm trying to find ways. I'm just trying to find ways. I'm trying to find ways to help him in protection. I'm trying to find ways so he can complete passes. I'm trying to find ways to let him see the field better. I'm trying to help Ezekiel Elliott. I'm trying to help this rookie left guard and the backup center. I'm trying to help these guys.
I'm in agreement with you that just using him in dropbacks and having him sit back there in the pocket, that's not
if the current state of the offensive line. And I don't disagree with Mickey. I'm just saying that there needs to be a different line of thinking. How do you get him going in games? If the protection's not going to be great, what's the next step? You can't throw the ball down the field?
No, you have to.
Michael Gallup needs to be on the field more than he was.
There you go, Mickey.
I'm subscribing to Nate Newton's theory.
There you go.
If he's a rookie and he can play, get him out there and let him play.
So who needs to be on the field as far as the receivers go? Gallup needs to be on the field. Beasley needs to be on the field.
And then give me somebody else.
They'll think Thompson. They'll throw Thompson out there. But, in actuality, let's see if you could get Austin going.
Okay, Austin. So we've got 4 receivers right there, and then you got Zeke in the backfield. So there's your 10 personnel. Let's go. I had a tight end, a Hall of Fame tight end, tell me this morning that go ahead and use some 10 personnel.
Because you think does he not trust the Swaim and Jarwin?
No, I think it's more okay.
Yeah. Well, they had success.
They've got other weapons.
You got to figure out some way to get it going.
They had success when they started spreading everybody out in the second half. Gallup got 29 snaps in the game. I thought he played more as the game went on. I said last week start him because I think Tavon's got speed and he's explosive, but Gallup has a gear to him. He's just young. And I'm with Mickey there. I play him a lot more.
Did they use 2 running backs, like not a fullback?
They did.
A couple times?
Yeah, and the fullback they got is not a glass eater, and that's a problem. You know what I mean? With a glass eater, a guy that's just going to go in there and dig guys out and and he's a good special teams player, but they missed. If you're going to play with that guy, play with somebody that's going to go in there and explode on people. I don't need you to go in there and get in the way of the back and be indecisive in what you're doing. Go in there and get somebody. Dig somebody out.
He's not Keith Smith.
I don't know. I mean,
different type of fullback.
Keith Smith. I know Keith Smith would go in there and he would try and concuss somebody. And I'm not shilling for Keith Smith. I think Olawale's a better special teams player than him. If you got him for that, okay, great. And he's probably a better single back runner than Keith Smith. Okay, he probably catches the ball
better.
Yeah, okay.
That's one reason they went light at running back, because he can do some of those things.
Single back runner.
But he's not that type of dig guys out fullback that they had last year.
Hey, you better figure some things out here. You just don't bang your head against the wall, 12 personnel, 13 personnel, and think you're going to be good enough doing that. It's not the plan. That's not a good plan. It's not a good plan for the quarterback. It's not a good plan for the running. Some stat again. Depending on who you believe, that group you're talking about earlier.
I'm not
group.
God Almighty, I'm not saying they're the Bible. Okay, I read a stat from them.
I'm mad at. God
Almighty.
I'm not mad at you.
Both of you guys.
I'm not mad at you. Mickey's rubbed off.
I'd like to invite all three of you to my Thursday morning Bible.
Yes, we got.
There's no hope for me, Bill. You can save Mickey. I'm down to
How early do we have to get there?
Yeah. Do we get to eat at Whole Foods?
Central Market.
Yeah. Okay. I
can
eat there.
Will DeMarcus Ware be the next guest, or is he going to be
He shows
dancing?
up there, too. I've seen him there. That's right. He's Dancing with the Stars. That's right.
53% of the time, that group, sorry, Rob, I didn't mean to.
You're fine, bud. Go ahead.
53% of the time, they played extra man in the box, Carolina. 53% of the time. Okay.
And they sort of invited it.
They did. And that's where I'm thinking.
Hey, that reminds me of the old Emmett days.
Yeah. And
Zeke, you had more players who could win their one-on-one battles.
And Zeke is like, yeah, come on, bring it on until
he gets
15 carries for 65 yards. That's not. He's going to look up in week 4 and go, okay, they're now playing 80% in the box. Okay, that to me.
And that's the strategy all teams are going to have.
Smelk just told you what they're going to do.
Collins is going to live down there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Landon Collins is going to. You're going to see number 21 hit number 21 all day on both sides.
Oh, so we are going to have a break here. Okay. Well, I
need some intervention.
Bill decided just to let this thing roll.
When things got good in here, I said, we'll just roll through this break. All right, we're back with the final moments of Talking Cowboys in a moment.
Cowboys fans know that the second best of anything simply won't cut it, and your skincare should be no different. A longtime locker room favorite of the players and the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Dallas-based Jack Black is the #1 best-selling men's skincare brand in the country because we make products that help guys look, smell, and feel better. Visit getjackblack.com/Cowboys to get $10 off your first order of $50 or more. Jack Black. Look good, smell good, feel good. Official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/Cowboys.
What does it mean to be a Dallas Cowboys fan? It means you've got the passion and the heart to do your part supporting the boys no matter what. That's why when the game's on the line, you're on your feet, whether you're at home or in the stands. Actually, you're more than a fan. You are a member of Cowboys Nation, and so is AT&T, doing their part to keep you connected to America's team all season long. AT&T is a proud member of Cowboys Nation.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Want to use what the pros use? Jack Black is the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys. Get your Jack Black Playmaker. 4 JB faves. JB, I guess that means Jack Black.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes. Plus a full-size lip balm for just $10 with free shipping at getjackblack.com. Use code Cowboys. kind of reversed that, didn't I?
Cowboys code Cowboys.
There's some weird phrasing in there, and not that I'm the smartest guy in the world, but I have to kind of rethink what that when you get to that
4JB.
Yeah. When you get to that point, I know you're a Missouri man, a lot smarter than an LSU man, but I mess that thing up every time.
It's good.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Hey, by the way, I had to fill in for you over at the on the fan. Yeah,
Last week?
every day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I meant to tell you that. I'm like, I don't know why they don't give you enough money to do that.
I was going to tell you. I said
every day I'm going.
One of two things is going to happen when you go for a week. Either they're going to appreciate you, or they're going to say, he's replaceable.
No. They asked me to do it, and you are not replaceable. You really are.
No, I don't know. I think
it makes for good radio. In their mind.
Yeah,
maybe not in your mind.
Just going in it, man. Yeah.
I just got an urgent call from my wife. Call them immediately. I'm like, oh, goodness.
Is she listening to the show and says, get away from that psycho broadus?
No, she's at work. And I'm like, I better call her.
Yeah, I better call her.
It's about a delivery guy coming to the house. I'm like, could that not have waited?
Yeah,
I'm on the air.
It's not like a 911 call.
8 more minutes.
Like the hot water heater didn't bust.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's never good. Yeah, that is not good.
I had a question talking about what Rob brought up earlier, although he does not subscribe to that.
I'm going to give Mickey for Christmas, though. And maybe Brian, too. That's my gift to you.
But we were talking
Give me the
about
socks. I like the socks.
A lot of times when you look at the All-22, you're not sure what you don't know what the assignments are by players, so
that's
it's difficult
fair.
To say who is at fault on a play.
That's fair.
You remember on the first drive for Carolina, Cam Newton's 28-yard run, the long run.
Probably Sean Lee.
That's what I thought watching the TV copy. But then if you look at it,
they didn't.
Randy Gregory
went way inside.
He crashed in on McCaffrey. It was his own read. Okay,
maybe scrape linebacker.
So I didn't know if the assignment would have been for Gregory. Is Gregory supposed to stay home on that in
usually
case
it is
runs, or?
But usually you can get.
You don't know.
Yeah, but the fact that Lee didn't scrape.
And he got caught up a little bit.
He got caught up, and I'm thinking, okay, did
he was
Gregory?
late.
Yeah, did Gregory just make just a straight move on his own, and then Sean Lee? And I haven't run into Sean Lee. It's kind of like going to give him a little room of that. Hey, did you not scrape? But hey, that's. I would
like to know it.
No, because sometimes you get a call, like you get what they call a take it, like you're on it, and I'm around. So.
Now, if McCaffrey had gotten the handoff, it was going to be a 2-yard loss.
There's no doubt about it.
Gregory was all over it.
Yeah.
But as it was, then
usually you don't want to go against Sean Lee when it comes to mental things.
Yeah,
because
But one thing, he got caught up in the trash a little bit, and so he was late getting over. I think, so the blame went on Lee because he was the one diving at his feet.
Okay, like we talked about the Ezekiel, it looks terrible. It looked terrible. Like, why would you? How can you make that block? And in reality, no, he's not supposed to make that block. So again, you ask, okay,
the one when he was on the right side,
when I accused him of not listening.
Yeah,
but when he bumps, you bump the thing all the way outside. Now is that the rookie call? Is that the center call? Does the quarterback have to check the protection? Now let's be honest here. This is now going to be a little bit on Dak, not a little bit, a lot on Dak without Travis Frederick there. He's going to have to be really sure that Joe Looney and those guys up front know exactly what's going on.
So just more on his plate.
More on his plate.
Mm-hmm. All right, the concern that you would have against the Giants this week. What's number one concern?
Number one concern.
I think the receiver's getting open.
That's the other thing that goes back to the whole, okay, he's sitting in the pocket for 3.5 seconds.
I think that you can't. I think that John Smoke, who did a great job of telling you, without Olivier Vernon, this is not a dynamic pass rushing team. Great analogy right there. A guy who lives in the building. You can see that. All 22. You can see that. So I think that it's going to be on the Cowboy receivers if we want to play 11 personnel or 10 personnel, it's going to be on these guys. Can you win on the outside against Eli Apple? Can you win on the outside against Janoris Jenkins? Because they're going to try and commit to stopping Ezekiel Elliott with Landon Collins and Curtis Riley, the safeties. So get ready. He said it, single high stuff. How many routes can you run against single high stuff and get open to give Dak Prescott a chance to hit you?
Well, you just need to, on Jenkins, you need to double move him because he's going to jump routes. And
they will jump routes in a hurry.
And the interception he did get, the guy was covered, but the ball was underthrown.
Absolutely.
And it was an easy pick for him. Yeah. What scared me is how well Apple played. Because I didn't
That was a good
expect
question.
that.
No, that was a good question because it was a come to Jesus meetings, about him and some of his attitude, clean slate.
They were talking bust up there last year.
Yeah, sure were.
He did a nice pick in the draft 2 years ago.
Yeah,
sure
nice job last week. I'd flip it around and say, despite what we talked about the offensive line, they do have so many weapons offensively. I mean, we know Odell. Their tight end is basically a wide
Shepard's
receiver.
A good player too.
Shepard's a guy that they move around.
Yeah.
Can they cover up? Because how many explosive plays can they cut down on in this game because it takes one play to either score like Barkley or get you in deep in the red zone or deep in Cowboys territory, and all of a sudden now the way the Cowboys struggle scoring points, a couple of those plays might make the difference for the Giants.
You got a flincher at quarterback though. You got a flincher, and you kind of knock him around a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Knock him around. That eye level comes down, and that ball goes out. And it's not always where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So
that's why Odell Beckham had 10 yards a catch. Just because he's getting the ball out quick. They've always been like that.
And then you never know. Yeah. But, looking at Jacksonville, now maybe it's me. I didn't recognize any of their wide receivers.
Jacksonville?
Yeah. Can you name them?
D.D. Westbrook.
Yeah, is one of them.
Westbrook. Yeah. And he was like...
It used to be Marquez Lee, but he got
hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're starting K. Cole.
Yep, Keelan Cole.
Keelan Cole.
Right.
And then
Safari and Jenkins.
And Moncrief.
Moncrief.
They got Moncrief from the Colts.
Yeah, Dante Moncrief.
Yeah. And then they were sprinkling in D.D. Westbrook, who might have been the best one they had.
I think he may be.
So their wide receiver core compared to the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
they got to figure out. You're right, Mickey. It's a good point, and you have to.
Which is why I thought that they might be interested in Dez because of what they
Jackson.
Have.
Yeah, it's Coughlin though.
Oh, that's right. Never mind. Forget
Coughlin.
I said that.
No.
Or maybe Hearns.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. There you go.
They'd probably like to have him back.
They could use him right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, it says 10:30 on my iPad.
No way.
So, wow.
Long segments today.
The big clock up there says 10:30.
Well, then I guess it means it's 10:30. And that means it's the end of another
Go hit that delivery guy.
Of Talking Cowboys. Yeah, I've got to go let a guy in the house. I better hurry.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!